Ferrari built a secret weapon so extreme, it could gain up to 10 kilometers per hour on the straights, a rear wing that literally flips in the air, something no team had ever dared to put on track. And then, in just 64 days, Red Bull showed up at Silverstone with their own version already running, on a real car, with Max Verstappen behind the wheel. But here's the part that no one expected. They didn't copy it exactly. They changed one key detail, the one detail that might fix Ferrari's biggest flaw. Which means this isn't just about copying anymore. This could be the moment Red Bull turned Ferrari's greatest invention into their own advantage. At first, most people didn't even understand what Ferrari had built. It looked unusual, yes, but Formula One is full of strange designs that come and go. Small gains, minor tweaks, nothing that truly changes the game. This was different. Because the Macarena wing wasn't just an upgrade, it was a complete shift in how a car behaves at high speed. Normally, a rear wing opens slightly on the straights, just enough to reduce air resistance. Then it closes again before the corner, giving the car stability. Simple. Controlled. Ferrari ignored that logic. Instead, their wing rotates almost completely. Imagine holding your hand out of a car window, and then turning it flat so the air slips past instead of pushing against it. That's what Ferrari achieved. And the effect is massive. We're talking about a gain of up to 10 kilometers per hour on long straights. That's not just speed. That's dominance. Because in Formula One, even a small advantage can decide a race. This is not small. But here's where everything starts to get complicated. Speed is only one part of the equation. What really matters is what happens next. Because the moment the driver lifts off the throttle, the wing has to return to its original position. Immediately. Perfectly. At extreme speed. And Ferrari didn't just change the movement, they changed the entire system behind it. Instead of using traditional hydraulics, they switched to an electrical system. Lighter, more precise, more advanced. On paper, it's the perfect solution. But on track, something didn't add up. Because during that transition, when the wing is moving back, there's a brief moment where it stands almost vertical against the air. And that creates maximum resistance. Right at the worst possible time. Just before braking. Just before turning. Think of it like trying to stop while someone suddenly pulls you backward. The balance shifts. The car feels unstable. And for the driver, that tiny moment changes everything. Braking becomes less predictable. Corner entry becomes more difficult. Confidence starts to drop. And in Formula One, confidence is everything. Because when a driver hesitates, even for a fraction of a second, the lap is already compromised. That's the hidden weakness inside Ferrari's masterpiece. Not the idea itself, but the way it behaves under pressure. And while most people were focused on how fast it looked, someone else was focused on that exact flaw. Watching, analyzing, waiting for the right moment to act. And while Ferrari was still trying to control that weakness, Red Bull was already building around it. They didn't react publicly. No announcements. No warnings. Nothing. But inside the factory, every detail of that wing was being taken apart. Because Red Bull doesn't chase innovation the same way others do. They wait. They observe. And when they move, it's never by accident. So when their car rolled out at Silverstone, it wasn't just another test. It was a signal. Because hidden in what looked like a normal filming day, there it was. A rear wing that moved differently. Not identical, but clearly inspired by Ferrari's idea. And that's when everything changed. Because Red Bull didn't try to match Ferrari step by step. They made a choice. A very deliberate one. They kept a central support in the wing. That single detail might not look important at first, but it changes the entire behavior of the system. Think of it like spinning a wheel. If it's completely free, it can move faster, but it's harder to control. Add a guide, and suddenly it becomes stable, predictable, easier to manage. That's exactly what Red Bull did. While Ferrari removed that central structure to maximize performance, Red Bull kept it to control the movement. And there's more. Their wing doesn't rotate as much. Ferrari pushes the concept to the extreme, almost fully flipping the wing. Red Bull stops short of that. Less rotation. Less aggression, but also less risk. And that leads to one crucial advantage. The wing returns faster, more consistently, which means the car stays more stable when the driver needs it most. Right before braking, right before turning. That's where races are decided. And suddenly, the biggest flaw in Ferrari's design might not exist in Red Bull's version. But here's what makes this even more dangerous. Red Bull didn't build this idea in isolation. They built it into a completely updated car. New side pods reshaping airflow. A redesigned front wing guiding air more efficiently. Even small aerodynamic elements around the cockpit, refining how the air moves across the car. Each change supports the other, like pieces of a puzzle. Because in Formula One, nothing works alone. Everything is connected. And when every part is aligned, performance doesn't just improve, it multiplies. So now, this isn't Ferrari leading anymore. This is a direct confrontation. Two versions of the same revolutionary idea. One chasing maximum speed, the other chasing perfect control. And right in the middle of that battle, there's a question no one can answer yet. Which one actually wins when it matters most? Because testing is controlled, predictable, safe. Racing is none of those things. And what happens next is where everything could flip again. And this is where the pressure inside Ferrari starts to build, fast. Because up until this moment, they were the ones in control. They created the idea. They defined the direction. Everyone else was reacting to them. Now, that advantage is gone. Because the moment Red Bull put their version on track, the game changed from innovation to comparison. And in Formula One, comparison is dangerous. Because it exposes everything. Every weakness. Every compromise. Every decision. And Ferrari already knew where their weak point was. That unstable transition. That fraction of a second where the wing doesn't behave perfectly. Drivers feel it. Engineers see it. And now, Red Bull has built a version specifically designed to avoid it. So the question inside Ferrari is no longer, does our idea work? The question becomes, is our version still the best? And that's a completely different kind of pressure. Because now, they have to prove it. Not in theory. Not in testing. On track. Against the team that just copied them. But here's where things get even more intense. This isn't just a technical battle. It's psychological. Because drivers don't drive numbers. They drive feeling. Confidence. Trust. Imagine going into a high-speed corner, knowing that a critical part of your car might react slightly differently every lap. That hesitation, even if it's tiny, changes how you drive. You brake earlier. You hold back. You leave performance on the table. Now imagine the opposite. A car that feels stable, predictable, consistent. That gives the driver confidence to push harder. Later braking. Sharper entry. More commitment. And suddenly, even if both cars are similar on paper, one feels faster. And that feeling wins races. But here's the part most people are missing. Other teams are watching this unfold in real time. Closely. Because this isn't just Ferrari versus Red Bull anymore. This is the beginning of something much bigger. In Formula One, when a concept works, it spreads. Fast. One team introduces it. Another improves it. And before you realize, half the grid is chasing the same idea. And that's exactly what could happen here. Because if this wing concept proves effective in real racing conditions, it won't stay exclusive. McLaren is already dealing with drag issues on straights. Mercedes has the engineering power to replicate almost anything. Even midfield teams, given enough time, will follow. So now Ferrari faces a new kind of race. Not just against Red Bull, but against time. Because the longer it takes to fully perfect their version, the more time everyone else has to catch up. And once that happens, their revolutionary idea stops being an advantage. It becomes the baseline. And here's the irony. Ferrari spent months trying to make this concept work perfectly. And before they could even confirm it in a real race, Red Bull already has their own version running. That tells you everything about the level of competition right now. This isn't slow development anymore. This is instant response. Immediate adaptation. Relentless pressure. So now everything points to one place. One moment where all these questions finally collide. Miami. Because that's where testing ends. That's where data becomes reality. Where theories either survive or collapse. And where we finally see which version of this idea actually holds under pressure. Because up to now, everything has been controlled. What comes next is not. And Miami is where everything stops being theory. Because for the first time, both versions of this idea could face real pressure. Real racing lines. Real braking zones. Real consequences. Ferrari arrives with the more extreme philosophy. The full rotation. The maximum speed potential. And now, a crucial evolution designed to fix their biggest flaw. That counterweight system, the one tested quietly, could change how the wing behaves in the most critical moments. If it works the way engineers expect, the wing won't hesitate anymore. It won't hang in that dangerous position. It will snap back into place faster, smoother, more controlled. Which means Ferrari could keep the full speed advantage, without paying the price in stability. And if that happens, then Red Bull has a problem. Because their entire approach is built on balance. On reducing risk. On controlling movement. But if Ferrari removes the risk, while keeping the extreme performance, then suddenly, the safer version becomes the slower one. But here's where things get even more unpredictable. We still don't know if Ferrari will actually race it. There's uncertainty. Because testing something, and trusting it in a race, are two completely different decisions. Especially when the margin for error is zero. One mistake. One delayed reaction. One moment of instability. And the race is over. So Ferrari faces a dilemma. Do they go all in, and unleash the full potential of their idea? Or do they hold back, and avoid the risk? And that hesitation alone could decide everything. Meanwhile, Red Bull is in a completely different position. They don't need to prove the concept. Ferrari already did that. What Red Bull needs to prove is execution, consistency, reliability under pressure. And that's where they are strongest. Because their version is built to behave predictably. No surprises. No sudden instability. Just controlled performance, lap after lap. And in a race like Miami, where temperatures rise, tires degrade, and conditions change constantly, that consistency becomes a weapon. But here's the detail that makes this moment even bigger. Miami isn't just another race weekend. It's a turning point. Because multiple teams are bringing major upgrades at the same time. Different concepts. Different solutions. All colliding in one place. And right at the center of that collision is this wing. This idea. This battle between two interpretations of the same innovation. And once the lights go out, there's no hiding. No simulations. No controlled environments. Just pure performance. So now everything comes down to this. If Ferrari's evolution works, they reclaim control of their own invention. If Red Bull's version holds stronger under pressure, they take Ferrari's idea and turn it into their advantage. And if both struggle, then this entire concept, the one that looked revolutionary, might collapse under real racing conditions. But if it doesn't, if it works, then we're not just watching a battle between two teams. We're watching the birth of a new era in Formula One. And the only thing left to find out is who leads it.